This night is sparkling. Don't you let it go. By beomjunnie. Summary. Rapunzel feels distant. Like she's there, but at the same time she's not. Something about having a disconnection with herself in the party. That is, until her eyes landed on him. Or an AU where they decide to see where the night would take them. Rapunzel feels distant. Like she's there, but at the same time she's not. Something about having a disconnection with herself in the party. She's laughing, smiling at people, but she doesn't really feel present. The old her would have probably taken pictures by now, saying they'd be perfect references for future paintings. But the new her, the current her, didn't have that same drive anymore. Still, she stayed for her friends. It wasn't every day, after all, that Merida finally graduated college and joined the rest of them in the adult world. There I was again tonight, forcing laughter, faking smiles. Same old tired, lonely place. With the party being held on Anna's fancy apartment rooftop, Rapunzel was at least thankful for the cool night breeze. It made her sentimental of sorts, with how time seemed to be slipping through her fingers. And there was nothing she could do about it. She was, however, snapped back into reality when Anna pulled her back into the conversation. Something about one of their chaotic college days. Rapunzel made a comment or two, laughed at a joke Merida failed to pull, then slipped back into the distance. That is, until her eyes landed on him. Walls of insincerity, shifting eyes and vacancy, vanished when I saw your face. All I can say is it was enchanting to meet you. Rapunzel's never seen him before, because if she has, she knew she'd never be able to forget such a striking face like his. And there was something about the way he held himself, like he could effortlessly put all eyes on him as soon as he walks into a room. Rapunzel wondered then why she only noticed him now. Hiccup noticed this and followed her friend's gaze. "That's Jack, you know," he said. "Huh." Rapunzel sputtered, surprised that someone was talking to her in the middle of her observation. "That guy you're gawking at? His name is Jack." I wasn't gawking at him. "Sure, Rapunzel, sure." And then Hiccup was back to conversing with the rest. "Jack," she whispered all so softly, and yet, somehow, the very guy turned to look her way, almost as if he heard her, and that was all it took for him to smile at Rapunzel with a tilt of his head. Your eyes whispered, "Have we met?" Across the room, your silhouette starts to make its way to me. The playful conversation starts. Counter all your quick remarks, like passing notes in secrecy. Rapunzel wasn't sure how it happened. One moment she was with her friends, and the next she was in one corner of the rooftop exchanging banters with Jack. While only having met each other, they never seemed to run out of things to say to each other. It was electrifying, and also thrilling that both of them didn't want things to end so soon. So they never left the other's side, always pulling the other along with them. If anything, everyone mistook them as old friends, or a couple even, with the way they were always together. Maybe we are. Who knows? Rapunzel teased with a giggle slipping through her lips. "Oh, that's right." Jack backed her up as he downed another drink. "We're partners. In crime? In cowboy? In a relationship? Who knows?" This made Jack laugh as he repeated the word cowboys. There was something funny about it. Or maybe it was the alcohol making him think that. Whatever it was, the two then wrapped an arm around the other's shoulder as they paraded on. "And it was enchanting to meet you. All I can say is I was enchanted to meet you." Rapunzel hasn't laughed this much in a long time. There was something about Jack that made her want to tease him, or even annoy him by acting cute. While Jack pretended to get mad or say he was done, his smile never disappeared. They then shared memories, both the good and the bad ones, with each other, even diving into the deep about having an existential crisis when it came to thinking about their life once in a while. This night is sparkling. Don't you let it go. I'm wonderstruck, blushing all the way home. I'll spend forever wondering if you knew. I was enchanted to meet you. All it took was for Rapunzel to say, "I don't want this night to end." For Jack to suggest they leave the party to have an adventure on their own in the city. Something about how the night was young, and they have all the time in the world to do something fun. Something that would make a mark in their memories, even after a long time has passed. And so they did just that. After sneaking away, the two immediately went around the city, letting the road take them wherever they wanted. To an arcade, a bar, even an art store. The lingering question kept me up. 2 a.m. Who do you love? I wonder till I'm wide awake. And now I'm pacing back and forth, wishing you were at my door. I'd open up and you would say, "Hey, it was enchanting to meet you." All I know is, I was enchanted to meet you. Then there was a hot dog eating contest by the bridge, where the vendor was baffled that two people were trying to eat the food at lightning speed. Jack choked at the last second, crowning Rapunzel as the winner, as she threw her hands up in the air, though her victory celebration didn't last long. Not when the other tugged at her hand to get to the middle of the bridge. "I have a question," Jack said as he looked out at the water. "What's currently bothering you in life?" "What do you mean? Is this your weird way of tending to your wound from your defeat?" "Oh, shut up." Rapunzel laughed at that, but answered his earlier question anyway. "I feel like I'm at a standstill in life. While everyone is moving on with their own thing, I'm still stuck here in this zone I've been in ever since." Jack hummed, listening to every word, and they fell silent for a bit until Rapunzel nudged his shoulder with hers, as if to say, "Your turn." "In a way, I kind of feel trapped in life. I don't know what I want to do, and even if I have a dream, I don't know if I can pull it off." Rapunzel wanted to ask what his dream was, but there was something in Jack's eyes that seemed to tell her he wasn't ready to share that just yet, so she looked ahead instead and started yelling at the water. Jack thought she lost her mind, until Rapunzel explained she was yelling her fears and troubles out of her body and into the scenery, and that he should do it too. And so that was how the two found themselves yelling at the top of their lungs on the bridge, with a bunch of onlookers looking at them weirdly. If it worked, they didn't say. But they did, however, feel lighter than before. And that was enough. "Nas, this night is sparkling. Don't you let it go. I'm wonderstruck. Blushing all the way home. I'll spend forever wondering if you knew. This night is flawless. Don't you let it go. I'm wonderstruck. Dancing around all alone. I'll spend forever wondering if you knew. I was enchanted to meet you." It was Jack's idea to sneak into the fancy ball being hosted in a hotel. They were already in a smart casual outfit, so they didn't need to do anything about their clothes. And they acted as if the people they knew were inside the ballroom. Somehow, in a miraculous way, it worked, and they got in. The first thing their hands reached out to was the expensive food and champagne, though Jack said he seemed to prefer the beer back in the party they ditched, while Rapunzel was very much into the taste of the champagne. This is me praying that this was the very first page, not where the storyline ends. "My thoughts will echo your name until I see you again." These are the words I held back as I was leaving too soon. I was enchanted to meet you. "Wanna sing with me, Rapunzel?" Jack asked in the fanciest voice he could muster. "Sure, so I can show you I'm the better singer between us," she teased, her eyes sparkling. "Wow!" The other laughed. "You're on." And then Jack held out his hand, which Rapunzel accepted. It didn't take long for them to reach the stage where a band was playing, and requested they sing one song. As everyone danced to the music, the two put on a show no one could ever forget. Their voices went along so well together that if you stopped and stared to watch the duet, it almost felt like a crime to hear them live for free. Show off. Rapunzel giggled when a part came up where they didn't have to sing. "I mean, they're watching, so we might as well, right?" Jack smirked, tugging her heartstrings. "Please don't be in love with someone else. Please don't have somebody waiting on you. Please don't be in love with someone else. Please don't have somebody waiting on you." And suddenly, this wasn't just any song. It was the song that Rapunzel could call perfect. Almost perfect. Did the heavens take pity on her and sent Jack her way? Because if so, everything seemed too good to be true. But she wasn't complaining. She felt more alive than ever, and it was all thanks to him. She wanted to get closer with him and get to know him better. She wanted to let him into his life and see where they'd go. So when the music ended and they found themselves face to face with how close they were, It took everything in Rapunzel to steady the crazy beating of her heart. The applause they earned seemed to have melted as background noise as she stared into Jack's eyes, almost as if she was looking for something. She wanted to know if his heart felt the same way, with how she couldn't resist it anymore. She knew they just met, but their chemistry was undeniable. With just one move, she could kiss him, and as much as she wanted to, she didn't. Not when the next words that came out of Jack's mouth was, "I'm leaving the country tomorrow. This night is sparkling. Don't you let it go. I'm wonderstruck, blushing all the way home. I'll spend forever wondering if you knew. This night is flawless. Don't you let it go. Please don't be in love with someone else. I'm wonderstruck, dancing around all alone. Please don't have somebody waiting on you. I'll spend forever wondering if you knew. Please don't be in love with someone else. I was enchanted to meet you." Every night, Rapunzel wonders what would have happened if things didn't turn out the way they did. Would Jack be at her very door right now? Would they be hanging out every single day? Would she have memorized most of his corny jokes with how frequently he tells them? Most importantly, would something happen between them? Questions that circled around Rapunzel's head, and she had no answers for any of them. It's funny how her heart was yearning for a guy she met for one night. But then again, whatever they had was, no matter how many times she searched for it in someone else, her heart would always lead back to Jack. Rapunzel stared at her hands, then walked out of her bedroom, feeling the itch to do something about her aching heart. And so, for the first time in a while, she opens the door to her painting studio and steps inside. Please don't be in love with someone else. Please don't have somebody waiting on you. Rapunzel lost count on how long it has been ever since that fateful night. Has it been weeks? Months? A year? She doesn't know, and she certainly doesn't want to talk about it. But her friends could tell that it slowly started to change her. It didn't happen all at once, but there were these small steps that eventually piled up together until it became noticeable. Rapunzel found the will to pick up her paintbrush and create something new again. "You're amazing!" Merida gasped at the biggest painting displayed at her art gallery showcase. Rapunzel smiled at her. "Thanks. I worked my ass off for this. I had countless sleepless nights painting it, you know." "Well, it paid off," Hiccup said. "That, and our word of spreading it around because look at the number of people here. If I squint my eyes, that girl on the left looks like you," Anna said while pointing at it. "Singing in a ballroom with... I don't know who that guy is." But Hiccup did, and Merida looked like she was about to recognize him. "Come on." Hiccup grabbed Anna's and Merida's arms. "Let's look at her other paintings. We'll catch up with you later, Rapunzel." And so she was left alone to stare at her painting, which captured the highlight of that fateful night. Rapunzel intentionally made Jack's face turn away from the viewer, almost as if she wanted to keep that piece to herself. She wondered then if she'll ever see him again, though she supposed that was laughable to even think of now. Rapunzel then looked away from the painting, just as someone opened the glass doors to the gallery. This made the girl turn her gaze towards it, and there she saw something, or rather, someone she thought was an illusion at first. Her heart felt a million things at once. With every emotion she kept hidden away came rushing back to the surface. As she initially thought, it would be too good to be true, right? But there Jack was. That same striking face she saw back then in that sparkling night greeted her. This made Rapunzel's heart get caught up in her throat as she tried to say something at least. Jack seemed to feel the same way, with how his teary gaze never left her face. Whatever speech he had prepared was thrown out the window as he decided that action was louder than words. With just one shared smile, that was all it took for them to make their way to each other.